and I thought John McGinn was brilliant tonight as well. And Denmark, they had a lot of the ball, but they didn't really offer much going forward. And neither did Scotland, to be fair. Not really many clear-cut opportunities. There was maybe a few chances we could have done better with, like the Dykes one that I mentioned. But overall, I'm quite happy with that point. And now we need to go away to Belarus or wherever it's getting played. Is it Poland or something it's getting played in? Hungary it's getting played in. We need to go there and get the one against Belarus, who were thrashed 5-1, I believe, by Greece this evening. So we need to go there and make it 4 points from the opening 2 games, and I'll be really chuffed with that.
Yeah, halfway there, you think you get the 4 points, but that's either said and done.
Yeah, and that is a job done tonight by Steve Clarke and his players. As you guys touched on, it wasn't pretty. It carries on a trend from what Scottish football fans have been seeing. Terrible derby at the weekend, terrible football matches all over the globe so far this season. So hopefully football gets a little bit better. But yeah, that was another tough watch. But, we all said that I think we would have snatched your hand, bit your hand off, should I say, for a point before the game. So you can't complain. I think Scotland maybe could have been a wee bit more positive, especially Steve Clarke with substitutions, which we'll probably get on to. But yeah, Scotland had chances to win the game. Denmark had chances. I think a draw was probably a fair result. But as you said, it's important they go over to Hungary now and get the 3 points against Belarus. And maybe Denmark aren't the toughest team in the group after all. I know Greece beat Belarus handsomely, and you can't take a lot from that. But based off Scotland's games against Greece, they were very impressive, and they'll be a difficult team to face as well when we face them in the next camp. So job done on the night, but still a long way to go if Scotland have any aspirations of being in the United States, Canada, or Mexico next year.
See now, because this is just a query. I should probably already know this. So, maybe one of you two will know. See now the tournament's being extended. Is it first and second in the group automatically qualify?
Yeah.
No, first and second's a playoff.
Still?
Yeah.
All right, okay, that's interesting.
No, I thought it was 2 to go through. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe it is. That's what it's saying here, but it might be wrong. But I thought it was.
Yeah.
Because there's.
I was just curious. The tournament's 42 now. 42 games or something.
Yeah,
or
really should know.
Or something like that. I think it is 42 because that's a multiple of 4. So no, is it? No, it's not.
Yeah. No, it's not a multiple of 4. It's not. Let me just look up.
44. This great journalism here, guys, on the Scottish Football Zone. Watching.
Well,
48 teams. That rings a bell now.
48. There we go.
So they took it up from 32 and added another half onto that. So, yeah, and there's 12 groups of European qualifying. So I think it'll be 12 teams. Then 12 will go into the playoff, and 6 of the playoff winners will go through. So 18 European teams in total sounds about right. So, yeah, I think Scotland, if they can get second, they'll have a playoff to play. But there's no reason why, based off tonight, on paper, the hardest game, getting a point away from home, that they can't try for first place. And I know it'll be difficult. But, you know, you can question Steve Clarke's lineup and his substitutions, which I will, and we'll get on to. But they get the job done out there in Copenhagen, not an easy place to go. And, yeah, I'm happy with the point.
I thought, if you want to just go into that now, I thought he got his subs. They were a bit late, but I thought he got his subs right, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought George Hurst was a good outlet when he came on, brought a bit of energy. There was that one moment where if he just lifted his head, he could have played Ben Doak in. Ben Garendolk. I'll just call him Ben because I don't want to say a double-barrel name every time. Yeah, Ben, he was good when he came on. Kenny McLean was all right. I thought Max Johnston, obviously, he had that scare, but fair play to the referee for sticking with his original decision on that one. But I thought Clark got his subs right, just maybe a couple of them a bit late.
Yeah, I think way too late. 83rd minute and I agree. I think the subs made a good impact when he came on in the 83rd minute, the triple change. Ben Garendolk, it didn't always work out for him, but he had that intent to drive for goal. He had that shot that hit the side netting. As you said, George Hurst brought a bit of energy without that real bit of final quality that was missing for Scotland for most of the match. Kenny McLean done what Kenny McLean does. Max Johnston was a wee bit shaky when he came on. Obviously had that red card check, which I think would have been a ridiculous decision to send him off for that. So I'm glad the referee stuck with his initial decision. But Denmark didn't really impress me either. I didn't think they were great, and I don't think they deserved to win the match either. But we would have all taken a point looking at their squad and their record and their UEFA ranking. So happy with the point. Not much really to take from the performance. I don't think that we can take into Belarus because it'll be a completely different game. Scotland will need to score, obviously. So yeah, but a positive result, and that's the way to look at it because we've not had many of them recently.
I think you make a good point, Alex, because I put in the group chat that it makes the subs too late, but it's one of these ones, right, where if one of these subs came on and scored the goal and we came on here, Scotland winning 1-0, we would be giving Stevie Clark a night hook and all the rest of it. But just because they came on about, 6 minutes to go and all that, and the dig offer something a wee bit different up front, a bit of pacing in the up front. But I mean, in terms of Monday night, I think you'll see a different approach because like the way that we saw the game, with the way I saw the game through my eyes, it was a very defensive performance. But I think you're going to see the opposite on Monday night. I think we've got to go for it, especially because Greece beat them 5-1. And they'll be hurting tonight as well. And in fact, they'll be hurting on Monday night as well. So it's going to be a completely different game on Monday night. But by the way, Alex, I don't know if you saw this after the game. I know Ethan might have not saw this, but am I right in thinking that it's a closed door game on Monday night? Because John McGinn was talking about, it's going to be like the COVID times over there. So I'm just wondering if there's no fans there.
Yeah, it's a closed door game because obviously Belarus are playing their game in Hungary because of the situation, the war currently happening in Ukraine after the Russian invasion. I don't want to get too political on a football podcast, but that's why that's why the game's getting played there. So yeah, it is behind closed doors. And to build on what you said, Scotland will need to go for it. I would like to see, I think, judging from the performance and the way the game panned out, I think Clark did get his lineup correct this evening. Maybe the change I would have made is I would have had Bowie in there from the start. I always switch between the pronunciation Bowie and Bowie, so you might hear me saying that a few times. But yeah, I might have had Bowie in there from the start instead of Dykes. But yeah, I think Clark got it right tonight. But on Monday, I would maybe like to see it a bit more positive. Ben Doak in from the start. Maybe the 4-2-3-1. We've seen him deploy a few times. So I know when we attacked, we were kind of like that, but when we were defending, we were really compact. So maybe deploy the 4-2-3-1. Have Christie or McGinn out on the left. Either of them can play there, but I think McGinn's a bit better centrally. Although he was good in wide areas tonight as well. But Christie on the left and Doak on the right. McTominay kind of just behind the striker, and I would give Kieran Bowie the chance against Belarus on Monday. But yeah, I think tonight he did get it right, and especially Grant Hanley. I can't believe how good he was. He was throwing himself absolutely everywhere. It was like he had some sort of gravitational pull. I like to call it kind of like the Carter Vickers effect. It's not so much this season, but in previous seasons, it seems like he would get to everything, no matter where the ball was. And tonight, it felt like Grant Hanley was just in the way of every sort of Denmark attack. Suter had some good clearances. One player as well that I haven't mentioned that I thought was really good tonight. There was a bit of a surprise inclusion, just coming back from an injury. Lewis Ferguson. I thought his deliveries from set pieces were really good as well. Because but we just didn't take advantage of it. And I'll give credit to Andy Robertson. I think that was his best performance in a while that I've seen in a Scotland jersey. I was questioning him before it. Every player I criticised showed up tonight, but I was questioning him before it about his quality and his deliveries. But tonight he did put a few good balls in, and nobody, once again, that was probably one of my main complaints, just not getting enough players in the box, not gambling. But other than that, I thought Clark got it right tonight, and it was a decent performance.
Yeah. On you go, Michael.
Michael, I think you're having a wee issue there, mate. I couldn't hear you at all.
What I was going to say was, I think when we do this show on Monday night, I think we should slate every Scottish player, and we'll win the game about 5-0.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. But yeah, he did get it right tonight, as Alex said, because we all wanted a point, would have taken a point, and we got a point. So despite it being a probably pretty poor game of football, we would have taken a point. And you never really, I don't know about you guys, but I never really thought, no, Denmark are going to score here. They never really looked like, I know they had a lot of the ball, they threw a lot at it, but there was never any point where you thought, oh, Scotland are really under the cosh here. In fact, I thought Scotland had more sustained sort of periods of pressure where they looked like scoring than Denmark.
Yeah, Ethan, sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say, there was that one chance that was actually offside where Angus Gunn pulled off a decent double save. But this is probably going to be my angriest bit of the evening. Is Angus Gunn allergic to catching the ball? What is going on with that? Almost every single high ball into the box, he was flapping at it and punching it away back to a Denmark player.
Well, I was going to catch Ethan during the game just to say I don't know if Angus Gunn went to Joe Hart's goalkeeping school.
Yeah, I know he was punching a lot, and sometimes it doesn't bring confidence to the defenders in front of him. There was one especially from, I think it was a corner that he flapped at and it nearly fell for a Denmark player. He got away with it. He made some decent saves, as Alex said, and he done his job for the most part. They didn't score. He keeps a clean sheet in a difficult place the parking has to go. And yeah, again, there's not much to say more than Scotland done their job tonight, because that's what they done. And yeah, I would love Scotland to be a little bit more ambitious with the substitutions and a wee bit more positive and really try and change the game at the hour mark to go for it, because I do think Denmark were there for the taking in some stages of the game. Lyndon Dykes obviously has that massive chance. He doesn't really get his shot away. It was a really well-worked move as well from Scotland, probably the best of the night. And I was just looking up the 2026 World Cup, how the UEFA qualifying works. The 12 group winners automatically qualify, and then the 12 group runners-up will participate in the playoffs, along with the 4 best-ranked group winners of the 2024-2025 UEFA Nations League that did not finish their European qualifiers group stage in first or second. So I think it's like a 2-round knockout tournament sort of thing. So the playoffs will be difficult to get through. You'll need to win 2 rounds of 2-legged matches, I'd imagine. So that'll be difficult. You want to ideally win the group, and I know it's going to be difficult because Denmark are a top team. Greece look like a top team again. They've not been
a lot of emerging talent for Greece that is making them a dangerous prospect for now and the future.
Yeah, and they've been on a really good run as well. So, yeah, they'll be a difficult team to face as well in the next camp. But Belarus comes first, not being easy place to go over there. They'll make it difficult for us. But we should be going there winning. And I think, although we see Steve Clarke got the team right tonight, I think he needs to be a bit more positive and put in those players that are going to drive Scotland forward. Your Ben Dokes, Kieran Bowie doesn't even get off the bench tonight. So, yeah, I do think that, and although Grant Hanley plays well, and he probably deserves to keep his place, I do think there is better options there.
It was literally, I could make a case for he was the best player on the pitch. Well, John McGinn, but I could make a case. I could make a case that he was the second best Scotland player on the pitch.
Yeah, but it doesn't. He's still got an error in him. He's still just because he's played well in one match.
Yeah, Ethan, but you can't. Well, it's not. I don't think it's fair to judge him on previous and then after he's turned out a good performance, go, he was good tonight, but I'd still chuck him because of that mistake he made.
Right. Okay. Well, if you're going to sit on the side that Grant Hanley was good tonight, as he was, I agree, and he should play the next game, then that's fine. But when he makes an error that leads to Scotland losing a goal or losing a match, then all I'm going to say is don't be surprised because he's got it in him as he's shown in the past.
I know I agree with that fact, but I feel like if you're on form, you deserve to keep your place in the team.
Yeah, but
it's form one match. One match. He's not playing for his club. He has played a few games for Hibs, but he's not played well for Scotland for a while.
Maybe.
Okay, so would you? Sorry, just on that then. Would you chuck out Lewis Ferguson then tonight or Andy Robertson because he's not played for Liverpool? Or...
No, because Lewis Ferguson and Andrew Robertson play for top clubs across Europe.
What are you saying?
Grant Hanley doesn't start or even get close to starting in big games for Hibs. He hasn't started any big matches for Hibs. He's only started.
You're saying Hibs isn't a top club?
They're not as a big a financial power as Liverpool or Bologna, are they?
I think as a job as a presenter, my job is to stay neutral, right? But I'm gonna try and side up with Ethan, right? I think what Ethan's trying to say here is like Grant Hanley's not had about 5 decent games for Scotland, right? And like even though he's had a decent game tonight, he might have a shocking game on Monday night and going forward. So I think what Ethan's trying to say is, yeah, I mean it's all right to if he's had a few bad games back to back, then you could say aye, but like he's kind of not a steady Eddie, if you know what I mean. He can play well tonight and play well on Monday night. Who knows? He might come on and score a goal on Monday, and we might be eating my words. But I mean, I kind of get for you getting at Alex, but I tend to disagree with you there. Sorry.
Yeah, I just don't think that. I understand Grant Hanley probably deserves to start the match on Monday, but I don't think the narrative should be flipped on him. I still don't think he should be anywhere near.
No, I don't think that either.
No, okay, that's fine. That's where I agree.
I don't think he's the long-term option. I'd still have him. I'd still wouldn't have him starting in the next camp. But I feel like he's earned the opportunity to start against Belarus on Monday.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Don't worry. If people's watching this, Ethan and Alex will kiss and make up before the end of the show over emails, and we'll be happy. We'll be happy on Monday night. Talking about Monday night, by the way, that's a good segue into the game on Monday night. Belarus versus Scotland. 7:15 will be on that, and we'll be having analysis at 10 o'clock.
Is that a wee Belarus football you've got there?
Yes, it's a stadium match. I went to the stadium on a sunny day and took a photo. And by the way, don't worry, Ethan and Alex will be best pals again then. So don't worry, folks. And it's good. But no, they get a point, Alex, that we were trying to make. You know, like
no, I think we got our wires crossed a little bit, and we started arguing when essentially I think we agree that Grant Hanley's he's not the long-term future and the long-term option. The next break, what is it? Home against Greece and home against Belarus. So I wouldn't have him starting. I'd rather have Scott McKenna in there beside John Suter. But I think the point I was just trying to make is I think Grant Hanley's earned after a really good performance tonight, he's earned the chance to show it again against Belarus on Monday. You know, and well, between then and the next break, you know, you never know, he might break into the Hibs first team, become one of the best centre halves in the league, and then your opinion might change again. I doubt that will happen. So yeah, next camp, I'd rather Scott McKenna. Also, I prefer a left footer and a right footer as well. I'm just a bit OCD like that. I think the final point that I'm making is Grant Hanley's earned the chance to start against Belarus on Monday, and then if he makes a mistake and we lose to Belarus, I'll come on and I'll eat my words and I'll say fair play. You know, I got it wrong, but he was good tonight.
Even I know this is stupid for me to say because we haven't been away to Greece yet. In fact, we're going to go away to Greece till November. Is that right?
Yeah.
The second last game. So what I was going to say was that the Denmark game. Do you think it's positive for Scotland, obviously, to get a point tonight? But it's good for us to get the hardest away game out the way first as well.
Yeah, exactly that, and that's it. It's a good point. That's what it is, and that's Scotland done their job tonight. But they need to kick on and they need to beat Belarus, preferably in a handsome fashion by a few goals. Get the goal difference up because Greece, I know they were playing at home, so on paper an easier fixture, but they've obviously got a really good goal difference already, +4 after one game. So and it may come down to stuff like that. I don't know if it's head to head first, but it's always good to have a good goal difference. So yeah, they should be going to Belarus and hopefully winning by a comfortable margin to take confidence into the next break, where it's going to be a hard match at home to Greece, as we found out last time, and it'll be massive expectations again at home to Belarus. But good point. Still think there's question marks over some of the squad selections. Kieran Bowie doesn't get any minutes tonight. I thought was disappointing, and I think he's got to start making substitutions earlier. Personally, because
just to play devil's advocate on that.
Here we go again. Stand by. Rank 2.
Could you argue that Clark didn't want to disrupt the team that we're on? Because in that kind of 60 to 70 mark,
yeah, that's exactly what he didn't want to do. But I think Denmark were there for the taking. And I think if you're a brave manager that backs the squad of players that you've got, you go, right, this game is finely poised. Why don't we throw an attacking player like Ben Doak on, or a Kieran Bowie, or a Hurst like he did for
Ben Garendonk.
Ben Garendonk, apologies. I'll need to get used to saying that. Like Ben Garendonk or George Hurst, throw them on at an hour mark, get fresh legs on, and try and change the game. It doesn't seem like he's really trying to change the game. He's just trying to keep it the way it is. And of course, as we say, it's a difficult one because a point is a good result. So you don't want to compromise that point for chasing free. But it always seems to be the problem with Steve Clarke that he leaves it too late to make the sub. Sometimes the inevitable is happening and the other team are clearly going to score a goal, doesn't make a sub. We need to change it to score a goal, doesn't make a sub. It's just a kind of problem that keeps cropping up, I think, and he needs to start being more brave, because we're not going to get through out this group just sitting there and waiting for what other teams are going to do. You need to stamp your authority on the matches and really go and beat the teams, if you know what I mean.
I understand that. I think I've come to peace with the fact that I don't think he's going to change, because...
No, I don't think he will. I'm just...
No, I agree with what you're saying. I'm just... The man, what is it? He's in his 60s, right? You know, and you don't... Well, you don't get to that age and suddenly go, oh, I'm going to change my whole... Like, anything about your life, you know what I mean? Never mind your, like, philosophy on your job. And, you know, as well, I think coming from Kilmarnock, you know, that kind of negative mindset will be there. He had a great few seasons with Kilmarnock and got that third place finish, you know, as well, and it was tremendous. But that the style he played at Kilmarnock, I think Scotland's is slightly a bit more expansive because we've got better players. But you know, I don't think he's ever going to veer too far from that. We thought maybe that there was a glimmer of hope when he played the 4-2-3-1 against Croatia. You know, that was a bit more positive. That was a bit like, oh, what's going on here? And then he's sort of reverted back to type. And I don't think we'll see much change, especially in games with opposition that have more quality than us and all over the pitch. You could say, I think man for man, I'd maybe choose 2 or 3 Scotland players over the Denmark squad tonight, which is not very patriotic, but I don't think we'll see much. And I do agree with you, Ethan. I think we do need to try and change kind of games and go for it a bit more, but I don't think that'll ever happen under Steve Clarke's regime.
See when you're saying that point about, I'm not picking on you to make Alex, by the way, just before saying that's right, but see your point that you make again about Stevie Clarke's not going to change it because he was a Kilmarnock manager. You could easily say, well, how no? Because it was at Chelsea with Mourinho kind of years ago.
Yeah, well, maybe that's where he learned it from.
Yeah.
You know, Mourinho famously quite a pragmatic manager as well. So maybe he's picked up that sort of managerial philosophy and taking it through. Obviously, he had a great season with West Brom as well. I think they finished 10th under him. So you know, I'm not sort of narrowing down his time as a manager to Kilmarnock, but I just think you know, he may have inherited it from Mourinho and he's just taken that through. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on his time at West Brom. If there's any West Brom fans somehow listening in, weigh in on this one. I don't know why you'd be listening to a podcast about Scotland, but if you are, thank you for being here. But yeah, I'm not so sure about his time at West Brom, but I'm very aware of his time at Kilmarnock, and the way it's translated into Scotland is very similar.
Yeah, I agree, and he is good for. I think he is sometimes good at being that sort of underdog manager that plays that pragmatic way. But I think if you want to really excel and push on in difficult groups like Scotland have got, you need to be a little bit more brave. And Scotland have got really quality players in that squad. There's no denying that. You've got John McGinns and Scott McTominay's, just to name a few. And I don't know about you guys, but I know Scotland didn't have a lot of the ball, 26% possession. But do you think Scott McTominay maybe should be playing a little bit further forward?
I don't know. I feel like it was I feel like if you played them further forward, you would need to play them off of a striker and bring in another midfielder, because I just feel like if you sacrifice that kind of stability, and even though, even tonight though, I feel like Scotland's main sort of attacking outlet from the midfield was John McGinn. So I don't know. To that point, Ethan, I think you would need to sacrifice one of the strikers, probably Lyndon Dykes, because once again I thought Shea Adams was actually all right tonight. So maybe take out Dykes, and I think on Monday, like I said, I would go with the 4-2-3-1 and have McTominay playing in that kind of 10 role, and playing it off of Kieran Bowie. But yeah, you would need, I think, like I said, you need to sacrifice a striker and drop a midfielder in there and move McTominay up.
Yeah, I would agree. And one thing that really annoys me is that I know it's that probably Scotland play a completely different way to this club, but Ryan Christie plays, when he did play very well, and probably his best football he's ever played at the start of last season for Bournemouth, he played as a defensive midfielder. So why would you not put him there next to a Lewis Ferguson or a Billy Gilmore and get the best of John McGinn and Scott McTominay's attacking qualities and move McTominay forward, because he's earned his reputation across world football as a Ballon d'Or nominee for being I think the term's a box crashing midfielder that makes late runs into the box. And you can't, I know he had permission maybe to do that, but he's in a lot better position if he doesn't need to work back as much, if you know what I'm trying to say. So I think you just need to play to the strengths of the players we've got, our best players, and I don't know if Steve Clarke's doing that with his starting lineups.
Yeah, because Lewis Ferguson, Lewis Ferguson and Scott McTominay were the main sort of defensive cover tonight for the back line. And Lewis Ferguson's good at that as well. It's weird. We've got a lot of midfielders that can kind of play that role. I think McGinn included, Christie included, like you said. Christie probably, like you said, he's the best at it. But it's weird because I'd even say Lewis Ferguson's better going forward than he is in those kind of areas. McTominay's clearly better going forward. McGinn is better going forward as well. Christie has shown in the past that he's good going forward. So we've got really maybe that's a headache for Steve Clarke. Maybe that's why he's deployed it in such a way. He doesn't know like what way to go for. Obviously, and I think as well, if you sacrifice, if you move Christie back into that role, you sacrifice a little bit of an outlet as well, because I think we spoke about it. We lack a lot of pace. John McGinn surprised me tonight with that insane run where he beat out 2 Denmark players when he was clearly third favourite to win the ball. But Christie, I wouldn't say he's quick, but he's probably the quickest out of that midfield. Unless Ben Doak's on the pitch, then he's clearly the quickest. But it's an interesting one, Ethan, and we could sit here all night chatting about hypothetical lineups and where we would put them. And I think it's just a case of, it's a blessing and a curse that we've got such a stacked midfield who are all versatile and can do so many different roles.
And to be honest with you, Ryan Christie, I don't know why he never got better with that chance in the first half with the header, and stuff
that one I was, you could see what he was trying to do, but it perhaps fell to the worst person on the pitch for it, possibly. I mean, if it falls to a Shea Adams or a Lyndon Dykes, maybe at least they getting it on target. He was unfortunate. Ryan Christie, I think he just didn't get enough under it and obviously on target, because I think what you want to try to do there is head it back across and maybe loop it into the corner, just out of the keeper's reach. But he doesn't get enough under it, unfortunately.
I think as well, even that. All right, I'm going to hold my hands up here and say, give a wee bit of kind of credit to. Well, not credit to. Well, yeah, credit to Stevie Clark for a point to make. But okay, we've been slagging them off for, well, not in this show. Obviously, can I bag a go at the team and all that. But Alex was saying about his negative kind of like tactics at Kamara, and obviously I was going back to Chelsea, but to cut Stevie Clark a bit of slack, Scotland's completely different to Kamara because he can only deal with the players that is coming through in the Premiership and English football. Like, he can't go to the market and buy players. That's the only difference between kind of the international football and obviously club football.
Yeah, I just don't think he's using the players he's got at his disposal well enough, and that's the thing I would sort of question, because credit to him, as we've all said, he got the result we wanted tonight. We're all sitting here happy with the point, despite it being a pretty awful game of football. The point is what we wanted.
I'm getting too used to awful games of football.
Yeah, I know. It's been a terrible start to the season.
But, a daily life.
Yeah. Hopefully it gets better, but I think it's just the way Steve Clark wants to do it. He wants to, if we're going to get to a World Cup, it's not going to be playing good football. It's going to be getting the job done. And, you know, people won't care if that's what he does and he gets us there to the States next year. But I think there's going to have to be a point where he's going to have to be a bit more positive, because it reflects in the team as well. A starting lineup and a squad is a reflection of their manager. If you're a positive manager and it makes positive substitutions and wants to positively affect the game, then it'll reflect on the players that are playing. If you don't do that and you're negative and waiting ages to make substitutions, then it reflects on the players also. And I think I just want to see Scotland try and play a bit more football and be a bit more positive and really try and go at the opposition, because I just think we've got players there and we've got the best squad, or one of the best squads we've had in recent memory. And if we're going to make a World Cup, then why not do it now? And I just don't know if we're using the players the best way possible to get us to a World Cup.
I heard that during training sessions, Steve Clark has this drill, right, where if you pass the ball forward, he blows up and gives a foul to the other team. So maybe that's why the Scotland's so negative.
But you see, I know what you're saying, Ethan, right? But you could actually have a look at the last campaign, and you could say that he'd done the opposite, because they played brilliant football, and then at the Euros, it was good defensive and very boring to watch, and that's why we never qualified.
I think that's overshadowed by the results. If you go back and look at that run, Scotland weren't really playing electric football. Norway, we were a goal down and on the back foot the whole time. Spain,
we played better football though. We played better football.
Yeah, we still got the results.
But Spain as well, we we battered them about and wasted time so much that we made Rodri cry. And then we were better. We definitely, undeniably better, and it was a great time. I remember being on holiday during the Norway result, in a pub full of Scotland fans, and beers went flying everywhere. It was great. I feel like what is it? Nostalgia makes it feel a bit better for you. You look back on it, because we were better. Like Ethan, I agree with you there, but we weren't exactly playing scintillating stuff. I think we were still in the 5 as well. So yeah, I feel like it's overshadowed a little bit. And in the Euros, that was just a really. I think that was a massive underperformance. I think it was a bit of a culmination of you could see it coming, I think. So I believe in like friendlies, warm-up friendlies and stuff, Scotland weren't particularly great. And then, since then, Scotland haven't been particularly great either. So I don't know what's happened to this side. A lot of people, including myself, want Steve Clarke removed to just bring a bit of freshness. But right now, I don't see who would be the option for Scotland. I've seen people shout for Ange Postecoglou, but I feel like we'd get absolutely ripped apart every single game if he became our manager.
But you would say that the only thing with that, and I'm not saying Postecoglou is going to come tonight, right? But I think you would see a different side to Scotland than you would now.
Yeah, I think with any new manager, you'd see a different side to, because a lot of managers have similar styles, but they all have their own sort of individual kind of stamps, individual kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, mutations of different styles of football. So you would see a different side of Scotland if Postecoglou came in, but equally you'd see a different side if they hired Don Cowie, who's just been sacked by Ross County. You know what I mean?
I don't think Ange Postecoglou is really an international manager. I think he needs a very specific type of player that I don't think Scotland have got any.
Did he not win the Asia Cup with
Australia? No, he did actually not.
He took Australia to the quarterfinals of the World Cup.
I stand corrected. Okay, but my point was more, I just don't think there's any players in the current Scotland squad that I could imagine playing the style of football that we see from Ange Postecoglou. I just don't really think that. And I think it's a bit below his pay grade as well in a way. So yeah, I'd love to see it, but I just don't think it would happen. And yes, Alex makes the point, we could be absolutely destroyed trying to play Ange Postecoglou's style of football. And I am not one of those people that thinks, oh yes, it needs to be beautiful football. I just want Scotland to do their best they can, and I just think that that Steve Clarke isn't allowing, and he isn't picking the best players in the best positions and doing the right things to maximise the Scotland squad's potential at the moment. And I also agree with Alex. I don't think there's anyone out there, other managers that are really. I can't think of anyone really, to be honest, that I'm thinking of and going, oh, they would be a great Scotland manager at the moment.
Maybe Gordon Strachan, no.
Yeah, well, I think that's sailed in the past.
Yeah, coming out in this wheelchair to manage the team. Sorry if you're watching, Gordon. But no, but I mean, I think you would see a better style of football. But I mean, if it was, in hindsight, it's a wonderful thing, right? But if he got the job instead of Stevie Clarke, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, do you know who plays a similar style to Steve Clarke, but can utilise attacking players? Barry Ferguson.
Barry Ferguson, right? Okay.
Always we saw it with Rangers. To Fenerbahce, and he did it against Celtic. So I don't know, maybe.
Possibly. I think Steve Clarke will definitely serve this campaign. I think we all probably an agreement whether he should or not. I think he will, and hopefully.
Do you know what gave me the fear? They were talking about, the commentary team were talking about rumours of a contract extension.
Yeah, I'm wouldn't be too pleased hearing that either, to be honest. I think Scotland squad possibly needs just a freshen up, and sometimes that's what they need. I think it's went a little bit stale. And, we're talking about this after a positive result, but we're looking at it, and I still don't think any of us are really coming away from this game confident that Scotland are going to qualify for the World Cup. I'm not any more confident than when I was before the match, to be honest.
No.
And I just think maybe we are better going to the back five, quite possibly. But I think what you would need for that is you would need Kieran Tierney to be fit enough to play 90 minutes, and maybe by the next international break he will be. But I think if he's fit, then I think you revert back to the back five. because the fullbacks then give you the width that we need, because the midfielders at the moment don't, unless you've got Ben Doak playing or Gannon Doak playing, sorry, and he's not starting him. I would love to see Ben Gannon Doak and Kieran Bowie come into the starting 11 for Monday, but I don't think they will, and I think it'll be a pretty similar lineup, in all honesty.
Just on Kieran, I can see him retiring from international football soon, if not retiring from football completely, because he's one of the most injury-prone players I've ever seen, and it's a real shame because I think it's widely known he treats his body like a temple. He doesn't drink. I don't know if he's maybe partaken since, but when he came through at Celtic and moved to Arsenal, there was like interviews. He's like, I think he got given a bottle of champagne or something for Man of the Match award, and he got asked if he's going to drink it. He goes, "Oh, I don't drink. I'll give it to my mum," or something like that. So he treats his body like a temple. It's just unfortunate he's been plagued with injuries his whole career, and this is a bit of a hot take, but I think Kieran Tierney, before he's 30, might retire from football, unless this is the season where he gets it all back and his fitness is great and blah blah blah. But he's you can only look at the history, and it's a sad thing to talk about. Such a great player who's, you might be, if he stayed fit, you might be talking about him in the same way you talk about Andy Robertson. Maybe not with that Arsenal team, but the time he was there. But you can see the quality every time he's on the pitch, and unfortunately for him, his body's turned on him, even though he treats his body really, really well.
Yeah, I think there is promising signs though with Tierney, and I know people will say, "Oh, he still can't play 90 minutes," and we're however many, nearly 10 games into the season or whatever for Celtic, and he's pulled out the international team. But he and Celtic will be treating his body in a way that it is not pushed beyond what it can handle. It'll be a very slow process of building up to match, because he's not had this for years. He's not had a sort of he's been at a club where he's expected to play every week, and that's what he's going to be expected to do at Celtic. Obviously, it's not realistic at the moment, so you need to build him up. But if you can continue to get him to play more minutes, and get closer and closer to playing at 90 minutes, I don't see why he can't maybe have a run where he doesn't pick up an injury. And hopefully that's the case, because I think if you get a fit Kieran Tierney again, and he's even maybe half the player he was at Celtic in his first spell, then he could be a real tool that Steve Clarke could use. And I think the back five worked a lot better with him in it, because he's got that pace that can cover the other defenders. He can also bomb on and overlap Robertson as he done, and that was a great partnership between him and Robertson on that left side. And yeah, hopefully he can get back up to being fit enough to play for the national team again. Because yeah, I think it would be really sad if he couldn't get to that, because he could be a massive player for us in this campaign.
I just want to clarify as well that I don't wish him to retire early or anything like that, because in case it came off that way,
to be fair, it did, but
it might sound like a bitter Rangers supporter or whatever. But
it's okay, we're not live.
He's because he's a great player. I just think the way as like I said, the way he's been plagued. I don't know if it's because do you know what springs to my mind when I think about Kieran Tierney? I think about like Micah Richards. Obviously, I think he had a really bad injury that forced him to retire early. But it's just that the build up, and it obvious. I hope he plays till he's 45, and he's a great player for the rest of his career. And I would never wish any ill upon any person, never mind any footballer. But I just, unfortunately, I just think he's, it's been too difficult for him. But however, and it might had take a mental strain on him as well. Constantly having to rehabilitate. But hopefully this is the season for him where he can kick on and get back to fitness, get involved with the Scotland team, because he's a crucial part of that Scotland team. Like Ethan mentioned, that partnership between him and Robertson, fantastic. So yeah, I would, and like you said, Ethan, he's got the pace to cover, and he can get nasty as well. You might see Kieran Tierney and you think he like on the ball kind of player driving out. He can defend. He can defend. He can get nasty. He can get stuck in. So he would be a massive loss to the Scotland team and to Celtic for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure of the length of his contract, but I'm pretty sure it's quite long. But yeah, I realised after I said that sounded really horrible. Like I wanted him to retire early.
Nothing like being optimistic as Scotland fans, is it?
Well,
I know. Maybe not the best thing to say, but I just wanted to clarify that I would never wish anything bad upon him or anyone else.
By the way, not to get back on Alex's good books here, right? But I kind of knew I kind of know where Alex was going with that comment, Ethan, right? Because me and you had a conversation, I think it was yesterday or something as well, and we were talking about Tierney being out for Scotland as well. But it's amazing how many players. I'm thinking about, Ethan with a Celtic hat on. I'm thinking about James Forrest, because when he came through the ranks at Celtic, he was sort of injury prone at the beginning. And look, I mean, he's still a brilliant and a very important player for Celtic as well. But going back to Alex's point about Tierney, I think he's very unlucky with injuries as well, because a certain player would have to pick up a kind of injury, and it's a kind of like snowball effect, and like he's out the team for like a few weeks or a few months, and then he comes back and he has a wee niggly injury, and he's out the team for so many weeks. So you know what I mean? It's players can be very kind of like unlucky with injury as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. And that's sorry, Alex. I was just going to say, in Celtic, I think have dealt with it really well, and of course they have, because he's their first choice left back. They want to get the best out of him, of course they do, and they've realised that he's had so many problems with injuries in the past, and the only way to build him up to maybe not be as injury prone or not have as many injuries, and hopefully he does go in that direction, is to build him up so slowly to the point that any sort of niggle or knock, or he's feeling cramp, or he's feeling unfit in a game, get him off and rest him up and build him up, because naturally, yeah, exactly that, because you know what player you can get if you get him back to the level he was at Celtic previously. And I don't believe that Celtic will be able to get him to that level, but they can get him close. And if he can stay fit and he can play 90 minutes, then he'll be a massive asset to the Scotland squad. And similar to, you make a good point, Michael, with James Forrest. He used to always be injured, I remember. Hamstring injuries, I think he always had them because he was obviously so quick. Obviously slowed down now a bit at his age, 34 he is, but he's looked after himself, and that's why he's okay. He's maybe not the flavour of the month with Celtic fans, because he's been overplayed and shouldn't be starting the games he has done, because Celtic don't have any other options. Not his fault, but he's a top pro in Scottish football, and that's why he's Celtic's most decorated player ever. And hopefully, looking at it from a national team point of view, Celtic can work Kieran Tierney back up to a level of fitness where he can contribute massively towards this campaign and have us at a World Cup, because I think he would be a big player if Celtic and Scotland as a cooperative can get him back to a decent level.
So we started off being negative tonight. I think we've kind of gone on the show, actually. Instead of being positive, let's celebrate a 0-0 win away from home to one of the top teams in Europe, Denmark. How would you sum up the game tonight Alex, hold on. I think I've got Grant Hanley on the phone, ready to speak to you. I'll just run him up to the studio as we speak. But no, Monday night's game is going to be a totally different game. Of course, it's going to be very difficult away from home. But do you think we could go over there and get 3 points?
Yeah, I think we should at least go and get at least. I'm gonna put my neck on the line and say we should get at least 3 goals against Belarus, and just sort of put our stamp down and go, because Scotland are famous for not performing in the games that they should. So we need to go and lay the marker down and come out with a healthy goal difference and 4 points, and that's other than nicking a late winner tonight. That for me, that's the dream start to the group.
Yeah, and a lot of sorry, I was just going to say a last point. A lot of Scotland's problems under Steve Clarke haven't been. I know the thrashing in Germany, the opening game comes to mind, but when Scotland are playing against good teams that they're maybe not as favourable to win, then they usually do quite decently. It's more the games where the onus is on Scotland to win. Hungary comes to mind as a standout that Scotland struggle. And Alex says that we should go and get 3 goals at least in Hungary against Belarus on Monday. I completely agree. But I don't believe we will. I believe it'll be a slog, a struggle. I think Scotland will maybe nick it by the odd goal. And hopefully they can win by 3 or 4 goals, and then Scotland fans and probably ourselves have a little bit more confidence going into the remaining 4 games, because that's us showing that we can do the dirty work away from home against a really good side like Denmark, but we can also do the bread and butter that you should be beating a team like Belarus handsomely, and hopefully Scotland do, because it'd be a bit of a statement from Steve Clarke and his players heading into the last 4 games. That's such a short qualifying campaign that one poor result like not beating Belarus could really hamper the whole operation of trying to qualify.
I think we need to be professional on Monday as well, because I was just thinking about Wales and Kazakhstan. I mean, 1-0, Wales won last night, but I mean, say what you want about Kazakhstan. And I never saw the game, but say what you want about the game, but I mean, Kazakhstan must have dug right in there to hope to be 1-0, because I thought, well, we're 4-0, maybe 3-0 away from home, but what do you expect? Okay, here's Monday night's viewing. It is we are away again, 7:15 again against Belarus, and we'll be back on at 10 o'clock as well, and also we'll be back next weekend as well when the Premiership begins. And further bad news will be on next week again for the European games as well. So, I can't wait for that. So yeah, that'll be us. Thanks to Alex and thanks to Ethan. I think they're talking again, so you might see them on Monday night. I'm not very sure yet. So thanks for watching, and we will see you on Monday at 7:15.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions